Welcome, everyone, to episode 5 of the Essential Therapies podcast with Dr. Cindy. Today's episode is just a little bit different. Dr. Cindy was not able to be in the studio today just due to a scheduling conflict, and so she called in to our studios here at the Upload Multimedia Group in downtown Toledo so that she could still record the episode and offer some advice and some information to our listeners. So, I love producing this show because I always learn something new, and today's no exception. Today's topic is legs up the wall, or LUTW, and Dr. Cindy has been doing this for over 20 years. It is one of her favorite self-treatment techniques. So we hope you learn something from today's show. I know I did. It's very, very interesting. So here we go, episode 5, the Essential Therapies podcast.
Dr. Cindy here, and I just thought I would touch base with you for a few minutes today on one of my absolute favorite self-treatment techniques that I have been doing for well over 20 years and been giving to my patients for about that same length of time. So I have a lot of data in my background to back it up, and that is LUTW. What? What's LUTW? That's my acronym for legs up the wall. So legs up the wall, also known as hitting the wall in a little bit different way, which some of my patients call it. And you may be familiar with this if you've taken a yoga class before. You may have even seen it on the internet here or there. It's popping up now and then. But legs up the wall in the way that I teach it to my patients and clients is not your typical legs up the wall. It is very comprehensive with a myofascial release or a fascial approach to the body. And many years ago, when I was dealing with a lot of headaches before I was able to have my own myofascial intensive treatment to manage that, I was using legs up the wall to engage my myofascial system very gently in a comfortable way, supported on the floor, and I could feel it all the way up into my head, neck, and jaw where I was having a lot of discomfort at the time. And so I started giving it to my patients, and I started adapting this whole series and creating different positions along the way so that it would pull into my body in areas that I felt and not only I needed, but many of the people that I was treating needed. So it has really morphed over the years to 7 or 8 different positions. And I also use it to help educate people on bringing in the calm state. It really helps to affect the neurological system, brings on the parasympathetic nervous system, which is basically that relaxation response. So many of us are walking around and living in a stress response. And even if it's a low-grade thing that's kind of going on all the time, there aren't a lot of good ways for us to release that. So legs up the wall is a very gentle technique. Anyone who's able to get on the floor and back up. And honestly, I've even used this with patients who can't get on the floor completely by teaching them how to do it on their bed against the wall. It's not and the goal of legs up the wall, I always like to say this too, is that everybody thinks, oh, I have to get completely to the wall. And if you're watching me and you see my body is completely up to the wall, that is not the goal. And even though I say it every time, I always need to say it several times. It's about where are you and where does your body need to be in relation to the wall. Now, what you might see if you make this part of your weekly or daily practice is that will change over the many months. And I've been doing this for years. And when I first started doing it, I was nowhere near the wall because I was very, very tight at the time. So you want to be in a comfortable position. I have a few videos on YouTube about this. I'm also offering a weekly coaching session that is online, so you can follow me from anywhere that you can reach the internet and follow my guidance throughout this whole 45-minute time. And really, the legs up the wall can vary. Sometimes I might be there only 5 to 10 minutes. Other times I might be there over an hour, and it depends on everyone where they are at. But with this guided session, I kind of take you new places maybe that you haven't experienced before and guide you with a guided imagery, sort of progressive relaxation, and how it relates to legs up the wall. We'll also use our hands to apply to the body to create even more specific self-myofascial release, which is really cool. And just depending on where I'm at that day and what the group needs, we'll go from there as well. So I'm also putting together an extensive course which will be very comprehensive in all of the positions and other things that you can do in each of these positions. Or if you need maybe some modifications because you can't quite do that exact position, there are so many ways that I can adapt this legs up the wall routine, which I really feel is one of the absolute best self-treatment techniques that I use. Now, you'll see if you Google legs up the wall, there are lots of benefits, and you will see them talk about stress relief, so calming the nervous system, improved relaxation, decreased back pain, even varicose vein relief, and improved circulation of the body. And those are all true, but what they're not adding is that we're really engaging the whole myofascial system. I remember one time I was dealing with some abdominal distress from something that I had eaten, and finally the next day that was gone. I just really had been dying to get to the wall anyway. So I get to the wall, and my abdominal area the inflammation had calmed down. But when I got to the wall and I relaxed there, all of a sudden I realized, wow, I'm feeling this pull all the way up to the front of my body. So years ago, when I used to think that it was only affecting the back body, it doesn't make sense, because we know that the myofascial system is this biotensegrity, right? That it goes through every single cell. It's three-dimensional. So even though you're feeling this in the back body, it's actually reaching all the way up into the front. And the way that we put our arms and try different positions, it's opening the front of the chest. And everybody's sort of this neck thing going on, where our heads are all forward by looking at our phone. Well, now we can actually open that part of our body and give it the time that it needs for a self-myofascial release by doing legs up the wall. That is, if you're doing the legs up the wall the way I teach it. And I like to think of it as not your typical legs up the wall. And it would be taught by me, who is also known as the legs up the wall girl, which I will proudly take that title. So I will leave it at that today. So if you haven't hit the wall in a while and you don't know what it is, we will put some links in here to a couple of my YouTube videos, and reach out and maybe join me for one of my coaching sessions that I hold weekly. Have a great day, and don't forget to hit the wall.